welcome everybody to VA's Spotlight series, where we shine a light on inspiring professionals making their waves in their respective fields. Today, we are honored to present the remarkable journey of Munira Dabhiya, lead in diversity, equity, and inclusion, Aditya Birla Group. Hello and welcome everybody to VA's Spotlight. Hello, Munira. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rima. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to do the spotlight with you, Munira. So let's just dive right in, and if you could just tell us more about your journey in the world and the industry of DEI.
Sure. Thank you so much, Rima, for the question. If I have to tell you, diversity and inclusion as a career for me just happened. I would say luck and conviction played its part. This was back in 2020, when DEI was actually considered just as a project, right? And I've always been into, getting into newer projects, newer roles, and all of that. So I jumped into when, we were in the organization thinking and discussing that let's look at diversity. And that's how I got into it. So it's literally luck and conviction. And for the longest time, I would say that I was working on this so-called project and working on diversity without it being a part of my goals or my KRAs or anything. And that's how I it got it with me. But whatever I was doing, I was thoroughly enjoying it. Like I really wanted to get deeper and deeper into it, and that's how I got my diploma with Harvard University. And I thought I'll get some education background around it. And when I was working, it never felt like work. It felt like that I was doing something for myself. And being a minority in various aspects, right? Being a woman, being a minority from community perspective and all of that, I could really resonate with what I was doing, with the nuances of inclusion, nuances of diversity. And literally it became like a passion for me. So today I can really say that my work is my passion and I'm following my dream.
That's very inspiring, and you rightly said, Munira, that if you're passionate about something, you actually it does not feel like work, to say the least. Now, if I talk about how extensively you have performed in the DI industry, and you have gone global with it, collaborated with United Nations and other international institutes, if you could share some highlights with this international experience about your extensive career that you have built in HR and DI, then
Sure. So to say, I will tell you a little bit about myself. I've always been inclined towards human rights, with equal employment, equal opportunity, equal rights. And organizations and institutes like United Nations or International Labour Organization, ILO, or World Economic Forums, all of these organizations have really laid out some really great practices and policies that really help us to how do we standardize and how do we build an ecosystem of equal opportunity and equal rights in the organization, right? So these organizations have done fantastic policy. We all know that. Associating ourselves with an organizations like these, right? From a company perspective, it also does not just give you an edge over others, but also gives you an openness to how you see diversity from a global standpoint, from a global lens, right? And I strongly believe that bringing inclusion and working towards diversity is not something that you can work in silos. You have to work as a society. We need to come together.
Hello, Munira. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rima. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to do the spotlight with you, Munira. So let's just dive right in, and if you could just tell us more about your journey in the world and the industry of DEI.
Sure. Thank you so much, Rima, for the question. If I have to tell you, diversity and inclusion as a career for me just happened. I would say luck and conviction played its part. This was back in 2020, when DEI was actually considered just as a project, right? And I've always been.
I absolutely agree, Munira, with what you said, and I'm able to, resonate with all the factors that you have mentioned, that how important equity is and how important it is to be together in it and promote equity. Now, if I talk about, Munira, that, we are well aware about how well you have promoted diversity and inclusion, and it is nothing but commendable. If I ask about the challenges that you have faced in your journey so far, and how did you overcome it? And that would be very insightful.
Ridhima, I must tell you that I face challenges every day. So every day there is a challenge that comes in when you're working towards D&I. And you have to look at how do you overcome on a daily basis. All right. First of all, to convince people that what is the importance of inclusion, why diversity, why should we think about and keep working towards diversity, keeping it at the heart or at the core or the center of the organization or the business. That is a big challenge that does not just me, every diversity professionals go through, right? To get that conviction and the belief that diversity is business imperative is a challenge that every D&I professional goes through, right? But looking beyond data, beyond the facts, and beyond research materials or competitor analysis, whatever that we do, a couple of things that has really worked for me is the persistency in driving the belief and the courage to stand up and say the most uncomfortable truth. I think only when you're able to question the current situation and the current systemic barriers, you will be able to change the status quo. And I think for all, and I strongly believe, to be honest, I strongly believe that diversity professionals, if they have the courage to stand up and the belief that they have on inclusion and they have the ability to speak, I think that will help all of us to move the needle. Otherwise, the challenges will come through you, but you have to be open to really speak your mind and really talk about something which is uncomfortable, but talk about it with conviction. I think that those are certain factors. Of course, data, representation, research material, all of that play a lot of great role. But from your own perspective, you need to have the persistency and the courage.
I absolutely agree with what you said, Munira, that, having those uncomfortable conversations, having that courage to speak up is very important. And, it's very nice of you to share that this is something, because people don't generally talk about it. They say that you do it, but this is something which is actually very inspiring, that have the courage to make those uncomfortable conversations. And it
Exactly.
it is very important. And I absolutely thank you for sharing this and speaking about it. So,
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Munira, moving ahead, and everybody is well versed about your expertise and the impact that you have left in this particular domain, DEI. If I ask you what fuels your passion outside of work, then what would that be?
Well, outside of work, there are a couple of things that I do. So I'm a skier. I go skiing every year, and I think skiing has really helped me to really change perspectives. And I'll tell you how. When you go higher on the slope, like the longer the slopes are, the steeper the slopes are, the performance is better.
Right.
So when we start thinking about that, oh my God, I'll not be able to because the challenge in front of me is really big. Literally when you're literally out there on the top and you see it down, you come down in seconds. So and the skiing in the slope is way easier if the slope is longer. So those are certain things, like when you take turns. As a skier, you have to keep taking turns, right? Like you're taking turn from one end to the left to the right and left to the right, because you're making a way. You can't follow somebody who's in front of you. You have to create your own path, because it's your comfort, how your legs are moving. It's your own comfort that you chart out your own path. So these are certain things that I feel that skiing has really taught me a lot. I remember the first day of my school when I had started to learn skiing. I went up to the first level. It's called the bunny slope. And I was on the first level and I was like, oh my God, why did I even enroll myself into this? This is too risky. Right. I was so scared because I was like, okay, I think I'm just going to go downhill and I'll not get up, because when you fall on a slope, you may get hurt, right? But the thing is, when you take that plunge, when you take that chance on yourself, you really find a way to maneuver around and come down easily. I think that was my first experience, was my best experience. I think it was definitely very overwhelming as a task. But when you break it down into smaller steps and you start taking those actions, I think every step makes it very beautiful. So skiing, I think, has taught me a lot. It's been 5-6 years that I ski. The other thing that I do on a regular basis is I journal. I've been journaling since school. That the time when journaling was not to be called journaling, it was more like diary writing. And I love writing. So I keep writing. Nowadays, I write a lot on diversity and inclusion and topics like that. But I've been doing a lot of writing and I keep journaling a lot. I'm recently writing an article on safe space for HBR. So these are certain things that I keep myself engaged. And this helps me to, come back to work, bring my, conscious self back to work and stuff. So yeah, these are certain things that I do.
That's lovely, Munira, that how I really liked the line when you said that you can't follow somebody when you're skiing, you have to create your own path. And you have to break it into steps and take one step at a time. And that is something which, fuels the passion, gives you the courage to move further in life and as a professional. So I think that is
Yeah,
like commendable,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
journaling is something which I feel uh, makes one feel better. And that's these are two very
Right.
interesting pointers, and I think all the aspiring DI professionals would get something out of this particular conversation. And now that if I'm
Yeah.
talking about aspiring DI professionals, and if I just take two steps back and discuss about coaching a little bit. So how coaching plays a pivotal role for aspiring DI professionals, HR professionals, and in general all the professionals working across the professional hierarchy, right? So if I ask you that, how powerful coaching is as a tool, what suggestions will you give to DI professionals to enhance their particular ability to identify internal talent and nurture inclusive work environment within their organization by leveraging coaching?
I think as DI professional, there are a few things that we must always continue to do. One is to learn about diversity, understand what are the nuances, understand what each diversity brings in, each diversity representation. What do they bring to the table? And I think it's really important that whether you're aspiring or you are like a full-fledged DNI professional, you need to keep abreast to the different diversities that are there. There are many. I would also say that I don't know so many, right? And I keep finding something new every single day, right? So I think the first and the foremost thing is to understand diversity and understand what it brings to the table. The other thing, I think, secondly, I think the important thing is to be aware of your unconscious biases. As DI professionals, we really need to be aware of our unconscious biases. For everybody has biases, but are we aware of what are our biases and how do our biases react, or how do we react towards those biases? It's very, very important that as a DI professional, we must know. Secondly, perhaps, be a great listener. I think thirdly, I would say be a great listener because it helps you to connect with individuals. I strongly believe that if you listen carefully and patiently, is when you will able to, because when you understand right at the start and then on the top of it, and then you come up with a solution, that's not a full-fledged solution. So I think you have to be a very good listener. And lastly, I think represent yourself, represent your represent your diversity you belong to, whatever it is, whether you're a woman, you are a man from a different community, you are a man from a different geography, you are a person who speaks a different language, represent that and be a part of those groups. You if you resonate, for example, I resonate a lot with persons with disability. I think I have deep connections there, and that's why I am always being a part of conversations which are related to persons with disability. I think it's important that if you represent and you become an advocate, to talk about the diverse representation that you are part of, I think that will really help you to build that allyship. So I think these are certain smaller aspects, but I think as DI professionals, we really need to walk the talk. If we don't walk the talk, then it's more like, what are we doing? We are not really paying, we are not giving 100% to the work that you're doing, because this is working for people. It is not about just numbers. It's not about data. You are actually touching hearts of people, right? And you have to walk the talk. So if you understand your unconscious biases, you represent the diverse community, you're a part of an employee resource group. These are certain things that will help you to, really make a change and move that needle.
Right, right. So very well put, Munira, that it is very important to resonate, to make yourself a part of it, and in order to move ahead. But if I ask you, how can these inspiring DI professionals leverage coaching or being coached in order to get that resonation? And if you could share any expert advice perhaps for them, that how can they be coached, or why coaching is important for them in order to fast track their process? Any pointers or any expert advice that you would like to give on that?
Coaching, mentoring is important for every individual, right? For DI professionals, all the more, because diversity spectrums and space is changing and evolving. It's ever evolving. You need to understand what's going on, right? You need to understand from a different lens also, because diversity is all about differences, right? So you need to understand from different lenses as well. You need to have a global perspective as well. So coaching really makes a big difference when you are looking at leveraging your skills and becoming a full-fledged DI professionals, you need to have a mentor, a coach, where you can really on an ongoing basis learn something, perhaps also unlearn certain things, right? Like unconscious biases. Your coach, through a coaching program, you can really unleash all of those unconscious biases and understand what are those unconscious biases. So those things really play a big part when you are a part of the coaching or mentoring program.
Right, absolutely. Right. Thank you.
Sorry, I've back
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Take care. Yeah. So this was very actually inspiring that in coaching you have to not only learn, but you have to also unlearn a lot of things in order to move ahead in your professional journey, or stay ahead of the curve. So
Yes.
yes.
And plus, I think coaching is important across, right? I mean, I would say be a part of the coach and be a coach as well. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you are at what level, but
Right.
if you strongly have a subject expertise, be a coach yourself. And as a DI professional, you have to have those two hats, where at one point in time you are coaching on inclusion and diversity, and the other hand, you are taking up coaching for you to, improve your learning and your knowledge.
Right. Absolutely. I absolutely am in lines with what you have said, Munira, and yes, circling back, Munira, to your international experience that you have, if there is any specific cross-cultural collaboration or initiative that which you led, which actually led to fostering inclusion within a global organization. If you could share any such experience, and what were the highs or lows, if any, and how did you feel after that?
So, been a part of the organization in my previous stint, in an organization which was spread across in 150 countries. So yes, there are quite a few cross-functional, cross-geography collaboration that I've been a part of. Plus, diversity is all about bringing cross-borders together, right? I worked on a few really interesting projects with them. I was saying I worked with my Australian minority group, Aboriginals, which are native Aboriginals, native Australians, and I worked with how to create a safe space and provide employment opportunities. And this project was with the Australian government. How do we bring Aboriginals within the corporate world? What kind of policies we need to build for them? What is it that they need? So there was a extensive work that we did with Australian government, because the organization that previously as I was associated worked very closely with government. Similarly, in UK, we worked with LGBTQ. How do I bring in LGBTQ in the organization? What are certain steps that we need to take? How do I create a sensitization? So we did a lot of sensitization programs, got conversations opened with LGBTQ to understand that what are certain adjustments that we need to make at work. And we did hire a lot of them. Like that, we've worked with a lot of things in Africa. Perhaps in South Africa is something that I did a very extensive work for 3 to 4 months on building policies and practices from HR perspective. And that is when we had to look at ethnicities and regional nuances, culture of South Africa, and bring all of that together in the policies so that it resonates with them, right? It's something that is applicable for them. So I think in my previous organization and in the experience that I've had being a part of the multinational organization, I think I've had the opportunity to work with different geographies and understand the nuances of different geographies and how do we bring that up. What kind of policy? I was a policy head at that point in time. So all policies, employment policies, had to be, of course, global, but also need to have the culture sensitivity within the policy. So that really helped me to do the whole cross-border collaborations.
That's very interesting, and it showcases as to the amount of thought and effort that you have put in order to bring different cultures together within an organization, within an MNC. So it's inspiring, and with that, Munira, we are done with our spotlight series session episode, and I would like to thank you for sharing your incredible journey with us and all the other professionals out there. Thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you so much, Ridhima. I'm so sorry for the network issue, but I hope you were able to capture the essence. And it was really nice to be a part of this series and just share my own story. It's always fascinating. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great work, I think VACE is doing. So the very best.
Thank you, Munira. That means a lot. And thank you for being a part of the Spotlight series. And yes, to our viewers, I would like to say that stay tuned for more enriching conversations and insights in our upcoming episodes. And until next time, this is Ridhima Behel signing off. Thank you, Munira, once again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.